Hey guys, Naz here with another video. In this video, I'll be going over all the PvP changes as of patch 6.11. I wasn't really sure what to put as B-roll as this is my first time really doing a video like this. So if you guys have any suggestions on what you would like in the future, please leave it down in the comments below. Alright, let's get into this, yeah? Paladin was already in an okay spot in the higher elo, but at the bottom, it was struggling to have a spot because of Warrior. It got a much needed buff to Holy Sheltron by getting a 100% buff to the damage mitigation and a nice 33% damage increase to Atonement. Speaking of warriors, they got nerfed on Blood Wedding. Their lifesteal is now 75% and the shield is cut in half. The unkillable menace of the pass is finally over. Another tank that needed some love was Dark Knight. While it was already good in the damage department, it did get a 50% buff to Shadowbringer, which now makes its AoE insane. Now what it really needed was some survivability, and it gets that from the Blackest Night being 5 seconds shorter on the cooldown. Now the weakest tank of them all was Gunbreaker, but that may not be the case anymore. It got a lot of love. Double Down now deals 20% more damage. Rough Divide gives us a movement speed buff, and Drawing Conjunction does not expire when you die. Its Limit Break now does 33% more damage, and Nebula got a 66% buff to its duration. This is absolutely insane. And if that wasn't enough, Aurora now heals 33% more. You guys better watch out when you see a Gunbreaker, because they're looking really strong. Speaking of really strong, let's talk about Monk. Monk got a much needed buff to help out its burst. Enlightenment is now the strongest GCD it has available to itself at 12k, and if you paired that with Rising Phoenix, you could hit everybody for 18k! Ninja honestly didn't need anything, but their Boonshin now lasts 30 seconds, making this great to pull off 2 double assassinates in one usage. It does make me really sad to see my favorite job not only getting nerfed in PvE, but now in PvP! Cheetan now only reduces damage by 25%, so it's actually possible to kill a samurai before they get their LB off. Minucci's duration got cut by 1 second, which is actually huge. I'm honestly not sure what they're doing here. Speaking of huge, Reaper got a massive defense buff to Arcane Crest. Not only did the barrier get buffed by 50%, but so did the heal! Its Limit Break now charges quicker. I'm not really sure how quick because I honestly didn't play it before patch 6.11. So if anyone knows, please leave it down in the comments below. Did someone say damage? Because Bard's Limit Break now gives everyone 10% more damage. Bard was already in a good spot, but now it's even in a better spot. I might be seeing double with this one, but Machinist got a 50% buff to Scattershot, and the shield you get from the Aether Mortar is now doubled! Scattershot now makes Machinist Burst even scarier. Be careful if you decide to 1v1 this marksman. If you have a Dancer by your side, that Machinist is looking quite weak. Dancer was in a rough spot, but it dances his way out with some much needed buffs. Starfall and Saber Dance got a 25% buff, and Honing Dance got a 50% buff. Curing Waltz is off the cooldown 33% faster. Dancers were already great with the buffs they provided, but now it has its kit buff so it could stand on its own. Black Mage is looking real good right now. Fire, Blizzard, Flare, Freeze, and Nightwing got a 33% buff, which was huge as we use this often under Soul Resonance. Speaking of the Devil, it now lets us hold our Polyglot for a whole minute. You could potentially hold this until your second LB to nuke the enemy team with 2 fouls. The biggest buff here though is Super Flare. Enemies can no longer line of sight you, which can make Black Mage really scary when you think you're safe. The King of Casters has finally been nerfed. The scariest thing about Red Mage was its melee combo in Black Shift Stance, as it had a dot. The dot on all 3 melee combos has been reduced by 33%. Resolution Silence was the most powerful silence in the game, and it got nerfed to 2 seconds. Speaking of doing things a little earlier, White Mage's Hyper Beam of a Limit Break now stuns you for 2 seconds. I'm so happy that they did this because that thing was too powerful! It'll also burst less because of Flatus Misery took a 2k potency drop. It's still a very good AoE move, just not as strong. Scholars were the king in Frontlines, and they're looking to claim that spot in Crystalline Conflict. Adlo and Biolysis got a 50% buff. They will now make the targeted ally deal more damage and the enemy deal less. This is insane! Speaking of insane, Astrologian got a 50% buff to Macrocosmos. This move was already really strong, and now it's even stronger! Which was the biggest change for you guys? Or was there a buff or nerf that you wanted to see but it didn't happen? If so, please leave a comment down below, as I absolutely love PvP, and I want to know what you guys are thinking. Don't forget, if this video brought you value, to leave a like and consider subscribing to see more. Until the next video, I'll see ya.